So what I wanted to do is I wanted to let you know a couple of things. There's been some programs that have rolled out, some SBA programs. There's been some unemployment programs. There have been some regional programs that are rolling out. And if you know me, you know that I like to test out what something is offering. And so I have, because for the couple of months I had signed up as an Uber driver because I was trying to figure out how to help seniors get rides from people that they knew. I technically was a 1099 employee for Uber for 2 months, which puts me in a position where I can file for unemployment as a 1099 contractor, which I did. So I wanted to see how the state of Texas unemployment was working for 1099 contractors, because they are saying that in this period of time that a 1099 or a self-contractor would be eligible for unemployment with a minimum of, I think it's $600 a month guaranteed income or something like that. Excuse me. And then the other thing that I did is that as a 1099 contractor, I also signed up for the SBA Small Business $10,000 grant. I put my information in there, and I wanted to see how that works, what it looks like, what my experience was, because I want to be able to tell you what my experience has been. And then the other thing that I did is I went ahead and I filed for food stamps, and I filed for TANF. And TANF is what we call welfare. Now, I did not anticipate being eligible for TANF because our family, our assets are too much. Technically, though, my husband is a contractor, and he currently does not have, all of his contracts are frozen. Everybody's in limbo like everybody else. So technically in our household, we don't have any income coming in. And so I wanted to test those programs to see if any of those programs would serve our household. And so so I filled out all of those forms on the 3rd, and I believe it was on the 8th, I found out that first I was rejected for regular Texas unemployment, which I expected because you have to go through the regular Texas unemployment first. And because I was a 1099 and I didn't have all of last year's income, they would automatically reject me, which I expected. Now, according to everything that I've read and everything that has been explained to me, starting today, actually, any of those rejected unemployment claims go to a second review, which that review is reviewed by the CARE Act, or I think they're calling it a PUA, and I can't remember what that stands for. So if you were rejected from the original unemployment application, that application automatically goes to the second round of the federal money that they're talking about for unemployment, that they say does cover a independent contractor, an Uber person, somebody with a side hustle, somebody with a side gig, that kind of a thing. So I'll let you know what comes of that. But right now, I've officially been rejected from regular unemployment in Texas, and I'm waiting for the second review for whatever is supposed to come from the feds. So I'll keep you up to date on that. So, and then in a separate box, which was my benefits for Texas, I filled out all the information for TANF, which is welfare, and then I also filled out the information for food stamps, because one of the things that they're saying is that they're going to be providing resources to emergency food stamp applications, as well as increasing the food stamp allowance for people who already have food stamps. So I wanted to test and see how that process worked. both of the processes, it was very easy to fill out all of the information. And there's some really good guides online as to how to properly complete that. I do know that when you are filling out forms for the government, for programs, it is really important that you fill them out accurately, and the way that they need to be filled out the first time around. It makes everything easier. If you have questions about how to fill something out, there's always somewhere on the internet that will say, this is the best way to fill out unemployment if you are an Uber driver. This is the best way to fill out unemployment if you were a 1099 contractor, or this is the best way to fill it out if you're a waitress. So you have a lot of resources out there. If you need to find some, send me a note and I'll let you know. So under the different, so you had to go to a different place and I'll leave the links to everything that I filled out below when I'm done. So I filled out the unemployment. I got rejected, which for regular unemployment. Now I've moved over, and so I'm pending review for the federal resources that came in under the CARE Act. So then I went to the other area with my benefits, texas.com, I think is what it is, something like that. And I filled out for the welfare, which is now TANF, TANF. And I was rejected for that, which I assumed I would be, because we do have resources and assets that it would be, I would be surprised, I would honestly be disappointed if I was qualified for TANF, but I was not. And so that part was rejected. However, in the food stamp area, my application remains pending. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not, based on the fact that I'm technically unemployed as an Uber driver, and my husband is currently not receiving any income because his contract is currently suspended, or whether or not we'll be eligible for food stamps, and that'll be something that'll be interesting, and I'll let you know if that comes through. And then the third thing that I did is I did go to the SBA website, and I did complete the information to sign up for the SBA program that not only included a small amount of financing, but also included the $10,000 small business grant. So I filled that out. That is also still sitting in a pending spot. And according to them, there is not a place where I can go and check on the status of that. At some point, they said that an email will show up, and so apparently I need to be looking for an email. But once you fill out that SBA form, right now you don't have the ability to go and check the status of that. So that's where I am with those three programs. And so at this point, I filled out all of the things to get assistance. So far, none of them have provided any assistance to our house. In addition, last year, our income was because of riches bonuses and a couple other things, we're not eligible for anything that the federal government's going to send by way of the tax returns. So in our household, even though our income is currently stalled because of Rich's contracts are currently pending, and I technically am not an Uber driver at the moment, it's interesting to see what resources are available and what has not been made available. Obviously, we're not in need, and so I'm not going out and taking advantage of the food banks or any of the nonprofits that are out there. And so I don't know what those systems are looking like right now, but I will keep up with you and let you know what the federal programs are and what the SBA programs are and what that's looking like, because I think that's important. And I always like to, they say that there's a system out there, and I'd like to test the system.